Can you ever truly reach the finish line? It might sound like a silly question. Of course you can. Or can you? Over 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greek philosopher Zeno proposed a series of paradoxes that challenged our understanding of motion, infinity, and reality itself. Today, on Mind Stretch, we'll explore Zeno's famous paradoxes, break them down step by step, and discover how they shaped mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Get ready to think deeply about something as simple as walking across a room. Before we dive into the paradoxes, let's talk about Zeno of Elea. Zeno lived in the 5th century BCE and was a student of the philosopher Parmenides. Parmenides argued that change and motion were illusions, bold claims that Zeno sought to defend with his paradoxes. His goal wasn't to confuse people, but to force them to question their assumptions about reality. Zeno's paradoxes have been recorded and discussed for centuries, primarily through the writings of Aristotle and later thinkers. They challenge basic intuitions about space, time, and motion, concepts that seem obvious but become deeply puzzling under closer examination. The first paradox we'll examine is called the dichotomy paradox. Imagine you want to walk to a finish line 10 meters away. To get there, you must first walk halfway, 5 meters. Then, you must walk halfway again, 2.5 meters. And then halfway again, 1.25 meters. This process continues infinitely. According to Zeno, you must complete an infinite number of steps before reaching the finish line. But how can you complete an infinite number of steps in a finite amount of time? This paradox arises from the way we conceptualize distance and division. The total distance can be represented as a geometric series. 10 is equal to 5 plus 2.5 plus 1.25 plus 0.625 plus. The sum of this infinite series is 10, so mathematically, we can see that you do reach the finish line. But the philosophical question remains: how do you cross an infinite number of intervals in reality? The next paradox is one of Zeno's most famous, Achilles and the tortoise. Imagine a race between the swift Achilles and a slow-moving tortoise. To make it fair, the tortoise gets a head start. By the time Achilles reaches the point where the tortoise began, the tortoise has moved forward. By the time Achilles reaches that new point, the tortoise has moved again. This process repeats infinitely, and according to Zeno, Achilles can never catch the tortoise. The key here is to understand the concept of convergent series. Let's say the tortoise starts 10 meters ahead and moves at 1 meter per second while Achilles runs at 10 meters per second. At each step, the distance Achilles must cover becomes smaller. Mathematically, the total time it takes for Achilles to overtake the tortoise can be calculated as t equals 10 tenths plus 1 tenth plus 0.1/10 plus. This is another geometric series with a finite sum. In this case, Achilles overtakes the tortoise after 1.11 seconds. But Zeno's paradox challenges us to reconcile this mathematical solution with our intuitive understanding of continuous motion. Now let's talk about the arrow paradox. Imagine an arrow flying through the air. At any single instant in time, the arrow occupies a specific position. In that instant, it isn't moving, it's just there. If every moment of its flight is like this, how can the arrow ever be in motion? This paradox questions the very nature of time and motion. In modern terms, it touches on the difference between discrete and continuous models of reality. Is time made of indivisible moments, like frames in a movie, or is it a smooth, unbroken flow? Newtonian physics sidesteps this paradox by treating motion as the rate of change of position over time. But Zeno's arrow forces us to think critically about how we conceptualize change. So, how do we resolve these paradoxes? Mathematics provides one solution. The development of calculus by Newton and Leibniz introduced the concept of limits, which allows us to sum infinite series and describe motion continuously. The dichotomy paradox and Achilles and the tortoise both rely on geometric series, which converge to finite sums. This shows that infinite divisions can coexist with finite results. In physics, Zeno's paradoxes are resolved by understanding motion as a continuous process governed by differential equations. Time and space are treated as continuous quantities in classical mechanics, allowing objects to traverse infinite divisions seamlessly. But Zeno's paradoxes aren't just mathematical puzzles. They're profound philosophical challenges. They force us to question whether our intuitive understanding of reality is accurate. Are space and time truly continuous? Or are they composed of indivisible units, as some quantum theories suggest? If reality is discrete at its most fundamental level, what does that mean for motion, causality, and the fabric of the universe? Zeno's paradoxes remind us that even the simplest questions, like whether you can reach the finish line, can unravel into some of the deepest mysteries of existence. What do you think? Do Zeno's paradoxes reveal flaws in our understanding of motion and time? Or are they simply tools for thinking more deeply? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this video stretched your mind, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join us for more explorations of reality with Mind Stretch. Until next time.